Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance as his ship moved through the darkness of space. The stars looked different out here at the edge of the solar system where Earth was just another tiny dot of light. Jake had been away from home for 3 months on a mission to the human colonies near Alpha Centauri, and he was eager to get back to Earth. Lisa Grant sat at her communications station running her fingers over the control panel. She was one of the best communications officers in the Earth fleet, and Jake trusted her completely. Lisa had been monitoring the usual space traffic around Earth when something made her freeze. The readings on her screen were not normal. "Commander Morrison," Lisa said in a voice that was trying to stay calm, but Jake could hear the worry underneath. "I'm picking up some very strange energy signatures near Jupiter." Jake walked over to look at her screen. The numbers and patterns meant nothing to him, but he could tell from Lisa's face that whatever she was seeing was not good. "What kind of signatures?" he asked. "Big ones, sir," Lisa replied while adjusting her equipment to get a better reading. "Really big ones, and they are moving fast toward Earth." At that same moment on Luna Station, which orbited around Earth's moon, Admiral Patricia Stone was having a normal morning reviewing reports from various Earth defense positions. Patricia had been in charge of Earth's space defenses for over 10 years, and she had never seen anything like what appeared on her screens. "Ma'am," called out Lieutenant Danny Clark from the sensor station, "we have multiple contacts approaching from the outer system, and they do not match any human ship designs in our database." Patricia felt her stomach drop as she looked at the display. Hundreds of ship signatures were moving through space in perfect formation toward Earth. Each ship was huge, much larger than anything humans had ever built. The ships had a strange crystalline shape that seemed to bend light around them in ways that hurt to look at directly. Back on the Defiance, Jake was trying to figure out what they were dealing with when Lisa's equipment started picking up a transmission. The voice that came through the speakers was unlike anything any human had ever heard. It sounded like music mixed with the sound of breaking glass. "Primitive species of the third planet," the voice said in perfect English, though the accent was completely alien. "I am Commander Veltash of the Hegemony of Zephyros. Your world has been selected for resource extraction, and your species will be relocated to more appropriate worlds where you can live safely under our protection." Jake and Lisa looked at each other in complete shock. Earth was being invaded, and the aliens were talking like they were doing humans a favor. On Earth, President Helen Carter was in the middle of a meeting about trade agreements when General Marcus Webb burst into the room without knocking. Marcus was not the kind of man who got excited easily, but his face was pale and his hands were shaking. "Madam President," Marcus said, trying to catch his breath, "we have a situation. A big one." Helen had known Marcus for 15 years, and she had never seen him look so worried. "What kind of situation, Marcus?" "Aliens, ma'am," Marcus said simply. "Hundreds of ships, and they want us to leave Earth." Helen felt the world spin around her. She had always wondered if there was life out there among the stars, but she had never imagined first contact would be like this. "Are you sure?" "Yes, ma'am," Marcus replied. "Admiral Stone confirms it, and they are demanding to speak with Earth's leaders immediately." Within an hour, Helen found herself in the secure communications center deep beneath the White House. On the main screen was an image. That would have been beautiful if it was not so terrifying. The alien ships looked like they were made of living crystal that changed colors as they moved through space. Commander Veltash appeared on the screen, and Helen had to force herself not to step backward. The alien looked somewhat like a human, but taller and thinner with skin that seemed to be made of the same crystal material as his ships. His eyes were completely black, and when he spoke his voice filled the room like the sound of wind chimes. "I am addressing the leadership of the human species," Veltash said with the tone of someone explaining something simple to a child. "Your world contains materials that are needed by more advanced civilizations. We are prepared to relocate your entire species to worlds better suited for primitive life forms." Helen found her voice, though it took all her strength to keep it steady. "This is our world. We are not leaving." Veltash made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your species has barely achieved interstellar flight. Your weapons are chemical-based projectiles. Your computing systems use silicon semiconductors. You are approximately 200 years behind standard galactic civilization levels. To prove his point, Veltash gave an order in his musical language. On screens around the world, humans watched as 3 of Earth's defense satellites simply stopped working. There was no explosion or visible weapon fire. The satellites just went dark. That was a demonstration of our defensive capabilities, Veltash continued. We do not wish to harm your species unnecessarily. You have 72 hours to begin evacuation procedures. Transport ships will be provided. The transmission ended, leaving Helen staring at a blank screen. Around her, the most powerful people on Earth looked like children who had just been told. There were monsters under the bed. Options, Helen said to the room, though her voice was barely a whisper. General Webb was the first to speak. We fight. It is what humans do. With what Marcus? Helen asked. You heard what he said? We are primitive compared to them. Dr. Amanda Foster had been quiet during the entire exchange, but now she stepped forward. Amanda was the head of the Terran Research Initiative and one of the smartest people on Earth. She had a look in her eyes that Helen had seen before when Amanda was working on something important. Madam President, Amanda said carefully, there are some things about our capabilities that are not widely known. Things we have been working on in secret for the past decade. Helen felt a small spark of hope. What kind of things? The kind that might surprise our new alien friends. Amanda replied with a smile that was not entirely friendly. Meanwhile, Captain Ryan Burke was preparing his small fleet to make humanity's last stand. Ryan had been a fighter his entire life, and he was not about to start running now, even if the enemy had technology beyond human understanding. As Earth's leaders planned their response to the alien ultimatum, none of them knew that deep and hidden facilities around the world, other humans were putting the finishing touches on projects that had been years in the making. Projects that would soon show the galaxy that humans were much more dangerous than they appeared. The Galactic Council Nexus was the largest space station ever built by any civilization in the known galaxy. It was home to representatives from 47 different species, and it was where the most important decisions, affecting billions of lives, were made every day. Today, the Great Assembly Hall was filled with beings from across the stars, all talking at once about the situation developing around a small blue planet called Earth. Council Speaker Thanemer stood at the center of the hall trying to bring order to the chaos. Thanemer was an Altarian, and his people were known throughout the galaxy for their diplomatic skills and calm nature. Today, however, even his patience was being tested as dozens of different species argued about what should be done with the humans. The hegemony of Zephyros has submitted a formal request for territorial claim over the Sol system, Thanemer announced in a voice that carried to every corner of the massive hall. According to galactic law, any species below Class II civilization status cannot claim territorial rights to resource-rich systems. Elder Krath of the Vegan Collective stood up from his seat. The vegans were one of the oldest species in the galaxy, and their opinion carried great weight in council decisions. Krath was over 300 years old and had seen the rise and fall of dozens of civilizations. The humans are clearly a primitive species, Krath said in his deep voice that sounded like distant thunder. Our intelligence reports show they have only recently achieved basic interstellar flight capabilities. Their military technology relies on chemical explosives and projectile weapons. Their computing systems are based on silicon, which is practically Stone Age technology. Counselor Zixandra of the Draconis Federation raised one of her scaled arms to speak. The Draconis were a warrior species, but they had learned over the centuries that sometimes diplomacy was more effective than warfare. While I agree that humans appear technologically inferior, completely displacing an entire species seems extreme. Perhaps we could negotiate shared territory agreements. Several other council members made sounds of disagreement. The Carillion representative chittered something in his native language that the translation system rendered as waste of resources to negotiate with primitives. General Mordeth, who served as the council's military advisor, stepped forward to addressed the assembly. Mordith was a Zentari, and his species had been the military backbone of galactic civilization for over 2,000 years. His gray skin was covered in scars from dozens of battles, and his forearms moved with practiced precision as he activated the holographic display system. I have personally reviewed all available intelligence on human military capabilities, Mordith said as images of human ships and weapons appeared in the air above the assembly. Their largest warships are less than 1 kilometer in length. Their weapon systems cannot penetrate standard galactic shielding technology. Their fastest ships require months to travel between planets in their own system. The images showed human fighters that looked clumsy and slow compared to sleek galactic designs. Human ground forces carried weapons that seemed impossibly primitive next to energy-based systems used by most galactic civilizations. Even their space stations looked like they had been built by children using scrap metal. Based on these assessments, Mordith continued, I estimate that a single hegemony battle group could defeat the entire human military without sustaining significant losses. This appears to be a standard relocation scenario with minimal risk to our forces. While the Galactic Council debated the fate of humanity back on Earth, Dr. Amanda Foster was working frantically in a facility that did not officially exist. The Terran Research Initiative had been operating in secret for 15 years with funding that came from hidden budget lines that even most government officials did not know about. Amanda and her team had been preparing for this day since the first. Radio signals from space had been detected decades ago. Nathan, how are we looking on the Lazarus network? Amanda called out to Dr. Nathan Cole, who was hunched over a computer terminal in the corner of the underground laboratory. Nathan looked up from his work with tired eyes that had not seen sleep for 3 days. All platforms are in position and ready for activation. The aliens have no idea what they are flying through out there. Betty Price looked up from the engineering station where she had been making final adjustments to quantum displacement field generators. Betty was one of the few people on Earth who understood the technology they had been developing, and even she sometimes wondered if they were playing with forces beyond human comprehension. The manufacturing systems are ready, Betty reported. Once we start production, we can have 10,000 units deployed within 6 hours. Amanda nodded and moved to another workstation where displays showed the positions of every alien ship in the solar system. The hegemony fleet was moving slowly toward Earth in perfect formation, completely unaware that they were already surrounded by weapon systems they could not detect. On the surface above their hidden facility, the world appeared to be in panic. News broadcasts showed frightened civilians fleeing from major cities, while military units took positions that everyone knew would be useless against alien technology. President Helen Carter made speeches calling for calm while behind the scenes she was coordinating the most complex military operation in human history. General Marcus Webb stood in the Pentagon War Room surrounded by screens showing military units around the world. Most of the people in the room believed they were watching humanity prepare for its final battle against impossible odds. Only Marcus and a few others knew the truth. All Shepherd units are in position, reported Colonel Steve Harris, who was coordinating the Hidden Defense Network. We have quantum communication links established with every major facility and all backup systems are online. Marcus nodded and looked at the display showing the alien fleet. The hegemony ships were beautiful in their own way, but they were about to learn that beauty meant nothing in combat. Any word from the Defiance? Commander Morrison is maintaining his position at the edge of the system, Harris replied. He is ready to begin Phase 1 on your command. Back in space, Jake Morrison watched the alien fleet through his ship's sensors and tried to look worried. The Defiance appeared to be just another human warship desperately trying to find a way to defend Earth against overwhelming odds. In reality, the ship was equipped with technology that would have shocked even the Galactic Council's military experts. Lisa Grant monitored alien communications and tried not to smile as she listened to Commander Veltash discussing human weaknesses with his fleet commanders. The aliens were so confident in their superiority that they were not even bothering to use encrypted channels for their tactical discussions. They are planning to begin mining operations on the moon as soon as the human population has been processed for relocation, Lisa reported to Jake. They expect total compliance within 48 hours of beginning enforcement actions. Jake almost felt sorry for the aliens. They had made the classic mistake of assuming that what they could see was all there was to see. Humans had spent generations learning to hide their true capabilities, and the aliens were about to discover just how dangerous that could be. Dr. Rachel Webb worked alongside AI specialist Tony Martinez in a facility buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. They were putting the finishing touches on Project Lazarus, which would either save humanity or destroy everything they had worked to build. The quantum consciousness networks are stable, Tony reported as streams of data flowed across dozens of monitors. AI systems are reporting full integration with all defense platforms. Rachel smiled as she watched millions of microscopic defense units spread throughout the solar system come online. To alien sensors, they looked like nothing more than space debris and cosmic dust, but each unit was capable of independent thought and devastating firepower. The trap was set, and the prey was walking right into it. Commander Veltash stood on the bridge of his flagship as the hegemony fleet moved into Earth's orbital space. The blue and green planet looked peaceful and vulnerable beneath them, and Veltash felt the satisfaction that came from another successful conquest. His crystalline features reflected the light from Earth's sun as he gave orders to begin the extraction operations. "Deploy mining drones to the planetary satellite," Veltash commanded his crew. "Begin preliminary scans for optimal extraction points and prepare transport vessels for population processing." The moon had always been rich in materials that galactic civilizations needed, and Veltash expected to have the mining operation fully established within days. The humans would be relocated to safer worlds where they could live simple lives under proper supervision, and everyone would benefit from the arrangement. On Earth, the news broadcasts showed scenes that made it look like the entire planet was falling apart. Crowds of people fled from major cities while military vehicles moved through streets in what appeared to be complete chaos. President Helen Carter appeared on television looking tired and defeated as she announced that humanity had no choice but to comply with alien demands. "My fellow humans," Helen said in a voice that seemed broken by the weight of impossible circumstances, "we have been given an ultimatum that we cannot resist. For the survival of our species, we must accept relocation to worlds that our new galactic neighbors have prepared for us." Behind the scenes, however, a very different conversation was taking place. Helen was actually standing in a secure facility 300 feet below ground, surrounded by the most advanced technology on Earth. General Marcus Webb stood beside her, along with Dr. Amanda Foster and dozens of other people who had spent years preparing for this moment. "All Lazarus platforms are online and ready," Amanda reported as data streams flowed across wall-mounted displays. "We have complete coverage of the solar system, and the aliens still have no idea we are here." Colonel Steve Harris monitored the quantum communication networks that connected Earth's hidden defenses. Every piece of space debris, every seemingly abandoned satellite, every chunk of rock floating between the planets was actually part of a defensive system that had taken decades to build. "Shepard teams report all positions secured," Steve announced. "We have eyes on every alien vessel, and targeting solutions are locked in." The first test came when hegemony mining drones approached the moon's surface. The drones were sleek machines, designed to extract materials from planetary bodies with maximum efficiency. They had been used successfully on hundreds of worlds across the galaxy, and the operators expected no difficulties with Earth's primitive satellite. Dr. Nathan Cole watched from his monitoring station as the alien drones tried to begin their work. The drones extended cutting beams toward the moon's surface, but instead of slicing through rock and metal, the beams simply vanished into what appeared to be empty space. "Quantum phase barriers are holding perfectly," Nathan reported with a smile. "The moon is completely untouchable as long as our systems remain active." The mining drones tried different approaches and different power settings, but nothing worked. From the alien perspective, the moon had somehow become impossible to affect despite appearing completely normal to their sensors. Confusion spread through the hegemony fleet as their supposedly foolproof technology failed against a target that should have been defenseless. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner was aboard the human vessel Vindication, which was disguised as a civilian transport ship. Alex and his crew had been waiting for days for their chance to show the aliens what human engineering could really accomplish when properly motivated. Captain Lisa Brown commanded another ship called the Odyssey, which appeared to be nothing more than a merchant freighter carrying supplies between Earth's colonies. In reality, the Odyssey was one of the most heavily armed vessels ever built by human hands, though its weapons were completely hidden from alien sensors. The real surprise began when 3 hegemony ships attempted to force land on Earth to begin what they called population management. The alien vessels were massive and beautiful, with hulls that seemed to be carved from living crystal, but they had never encountered anything like the reception that was waiting for them. As the first hegemony lander descended toward Earth's atmosphere, it found its path blocked by the seemingly harmless Odyssey. Commander Valtash received reports from the lander's captain expressing amusement at the futile gesture of a primitive cargo ship trying to interfere with galactic military operations. "Move the obstruction aside," Valtash ordered casually. "Use minimum force. We do not want to damage the humans unnecessarily." The hegemony lander fired what should have been a gentle warning shot designed to disable the human ship's engines without causing serious harm. Instead, the energy beam struck something that absorbed the blast completely and then returned it with triple the original power directly into the alien vessel's weapon systems. Lisa Brown smiled as she watched the confused aliens, trying to figure out what had just happened. The Odyssey's adaptive shields had analyzed the incoming energy signature and created a perfect counter-response, while its hidden weapon systems prepared to demonstrate human firepower. "This is Captain Brown of the Earth vessel Odyssey," Lisa transmitted to the alien ship. "You are ordered to withdraw from Earth orbital space immediately or face defensive measures." The response from the hegemony lander was predictable. The alien captain increased power to his weapons and fired again with the intention of destroying the annoying human ship entirely. Instead, the blast was once again absorbed and redirected, while the Odyssey revealed its true nature. Hull plates slid away to expose weapon systems that operated on principles the aliens had never encountered. The ship's apparent size doubled as hidden sections extended outward, and its engines began generating power signatures that made hegemony sensors scream warnings about impossible energy levels. Dr. Rachel Webb monitored the engagement from her command center, while AI specialist Tony Martinez coordinated with the quantum consciousness networks that controlled Earth's defenses. The artificial intelligence systems had been analyzing alien technology since the first moment of contact, and they had already developed countermeasures for every weapon in the hegemony arsenal. "All AI systems report ready status," Tony announced, as millions of microscopic defense platforms throughout the solar system came online. "The aliens are completely surrounded, and they still think they are hunting sheep." The nanobots were perhaps the most devastating surprise that humanity had prepared. Engineer Susan Kelly had spent 5 years perfecting the tiny machines that could infiltrate alien technology and convert it to human specifications. The nanobots were invisible to galactic sensors, and once they began their work, there was no way to stop them. As the first wave of nanobots reached the hegemony fleet, they began infiltrating ship systems through microscopic gaps in hull plating and ventilation systems. Within minutes, alien computers began experiencing mysterious malfunctions as their own technology was slowly converted to serve human purposes instead. Commander Valtash watched his tactical displays with growing alarm as ship after ship reported system failures and weapon malfunctions. His supposedly superior technology was failing against humans who were supposed to be primitive and helpless. "Contact the Galactic Council immediately," Valtash ordered his communications officer. "Request immediate military reinforcement and inform them that human capabilities have been grossly underestimated." Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez intercepted the alien transmission from her monitoring station on Luna Base Emma had been tracking every communication between the hegemony, fleet, and the galaxy beyond, and she made sure that Veltosh's desperate call for help would take a very long time to reach its destination. The most shocking revelation was yet to come. Human AI systems were not the primitive silicon-based computers that galactic intelligence had reported. Instead, they were quantum consciousness entities, capable of processing information at rates that exceeded even the most advanced galactic supercomputers. As the battle continued, these AI systems began demonstrating their true capabilities by taking direct control of alien vessels whose security systems had been compromised by the nanobots. Hegemony ships found their own weapons, turning against them while their navigation systems guided them into positions where human forces could disable them with minimum damage. The trap that had taken decades to prepare was finally springing shut, and the hunters were about to become the hunted. Admiral Patricia Stone stood in the command center of Luna Station, watching as humanity's true military power revealed itself across the solar system. For years, she had been forced to pretend that Earth's defenses were weak and primitive, while secretly coordinating the largest deception operation in human history. Now, it was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do when they stopped pretending to be helpless. "Give the order," Patricia said calmly into her communications headset. "Activate all Lazarus platforms and reveal our true fleet positions." Across the solar system, what appeared to be empty space suddenly filled with weapons platforms and defensive installations that had been hiding in plain sight for over a decade. Asteroids opened up to reveal massive railgun batteries, while seemingly dead satellites came online with energy signatures that made alien sensors overload from the sheer power readings. Commander Jake Morrison felt his heart racing as the Defiance finally dropped its disguise. Hull sections slid apart to reveal the ship's true size, which was nearly 3 times larger than what the aliens had believed. Hidden weapon systems emerged from concealed bays, while the ship's engines began generating power levels that exceeded anything in the known galaxy. "All systems are green," Lisa Grant reported from her station as the Defiance's quantum fold drives came online. "We are ready to demonstrate human space combat doctrine." The quantum fold technology was humanity's greatest secret and most powerful advantage. While galactic civilizations relied on conventional faster-than-light travel that moved ships through hyperspace, human vessels could phase in and out of normal reality itself. This made them nearly impossible to target and allowed them to appear anywhere on a battlefield without warning. Captain Ryan Burke commanded a squadron of ships that had been hiding behind Jupiter's moons for weeks, waiting for this moment. 2. Alien sensors. His vessels had appeared to be nothing more than mining equipment and research stations. Now, they revealed themselves as some of the most advanced warships ever constructed. "Phoenix Squadron, this is Burke," Ryan transmitted to his fleet. "Execute Shepard Protocol and show these aliens what happens when they threaten Earth." The human ships seemed to vanish from space entirely as their quantum fold drives engaged. For several seconds, the hegemony fleet found themselves alone in what appeared to be empty space. Then reality twisted and the human vessels materialized directly inside the alien formation with their weapons already charging. The effect was devastating both tactically and psychologically. The aliens had been confident that their superior technology made them untouchable, but suddenly they found enemy ships appearing inside their defensive formations without any warning. Hegemony vessels collided with each other as they tried to respond to threats that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Dr. Amanda Foster monitored the battle from her underground command center while coordinating with research teams around the world. The technology they had developed was performing even better than their most optimistic projections, and the aliens were completely unable to adapt to human tactics. "Nanobots have successfully infiltrated 60% of the alien fleet," reported Dr. Nathan Cole from his monitoring station. "Their ships are being converted to our specifications, and many of their weapon systems are now under our control." The nanobots were perhaps the most terrifying weapon that humanity had developed. Each microscopic machine was capable of reproducing itself using alien technology as raw materials. Once they infiltrated a ship, they could convert its entire structure to serve human purposes while the crew remained completely unaware of what was happening. Engineer Betty Price coordinated the nanobot deployment from her control station while watching as hegemony vessels slowly fell under human control. The alien ships looked the same from the outside, but their internal systems were being rewritten to follow human commands instead of responding to their original crews. "We now have direct control over 12 hegemony vessels," Betty announced, with satisfaction. "Their own ships are targeting each other, and there is nothing their commanders can do to stop it." Commander Veltash watched his fleet fall apart around him with growing horror. Ships that had been responding to his orders moments earlier were now firing on his flagship, while their crews frantically tried to regain control of their own vessels. The humans had not just surprised him with superior technology, they had turned his own forces against him. "How is this possible?" Veltash demanded of his science officer. "The intelligence report said they were primitive. Their technology was supposed to be centuries behind our own." The science officer could only stare at his instruments in confusion as readings showed human ships performing maneuvers that violated every known law of physics. "Commander, the human vessels appear to be phasing between dimensions. They are using quantum fold technology that exceeds our own capabilities by orders of magnitude." Back on Earth, President Helen Carter was no longer pretending to be a defeated leader surrendering to superior forces. She stood in the war room surrounded by displays showing human forces systematically dismantling the hegemony fleet while suffering almost no losses in return. "General Webb," Helen said to Marcus, who was coordinating ground-based defenses, "I think it is time we had another conversation with our alien visitors." Marcus smiled as he opened a communication channel to the hegemony flagship. "Commander Veltash, this is General Webb of the Earth Defense Forces. You seem to be having some difficulties with your fleet." The response came immediately, and Veltash's musical voice was filled with panic and confusion. "What have you done to my ships? This is impossible. Your species lacks the technology for these capabilities." "That is where you made your first mistake," Helen said as she took control of the transmission. "You assumed that what you could see was all there was to see. Humans have been aware of galactic civilization for decades, and we have been preparing for this day since your people first made contact with our outer colonies." The revelation sent shockwaves through the hegemony fleet as alien crews realized they had walked into a trap that had been decades in the making. Every diplomatic contact, every seemingly primitive human probe, every piece of intelligence the galaxy had gathered about human capabilities had been carefully crafted deception. Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner demonstrated human tactical superiority by having his ship, the Vindication, appear simultaneously at 3 different locations around the alien fleet. The quantum fold drives allowed the vessel to exist in multiple quantum states at once, making it impossible for alien weapons to achieve target lock. Dr. Rachel Webb coordinated with AI specialist Tony Martinez as their quantum consciousness systems took complete control of the battle. The artificial intelligence entities that humans had created were not just faster than galactic computers, they were capable of processing information in ways that organic minds could barely comprehend. "All AI systems report successful integration with alien networks," Tony announced as streams of data flowed across his displays. "We now have access to their entire tactical database and communication protocols." The most devastating blow came when the human AI systems began broadcasting everything they had learned directly to the Galactic Council. Council chambers throughout the galaxy received detailed technical specifications of human weapons, complete battle recordings, and proof that their intelligence services had been completely fooled for decades. Captain Lisa Brown aboard the Odyssey coordinated with other human vessels as they systematically disabled the remaining hegemony ships without destroying them. The goal was not to massacre the alien fleet, but to demonstrate that humans were capable of showing mercy even when they held overwhelming advantage. "This is Captain Brown to all hegemony vessels," Lisa transmitted on open channels. "Surrender your ships and prepare to be taken into custody. Any vessel that continues to resist will be disabled and boarded. The response was immediate as alien crews realized they had no choice but to surrender. Ship after ship powered down their weapons and began broadcasting surrender signals while their commanders tried to understand how their supposedly easy conquest had turned into complete disaster. Engineer Susan Kelly watched with satisfaction as her nanobots completed their work on the final hegemony vessels. The microscopic machines had not just infiltrated the alien ships but had also been gathering intelligence on galactic technology and military capabilities that would give humanity enormous advantages in future encounters. Within 6 hours of revealing their true capabilities, human forces had captured or disabled the entire hegemony fleet. What had begun as an alien invasion had become a demonstration of human technological superiority that would reshape the balance of power throughout the galaxy. The hunters had become the hunted, and the supposedly primitive humans had proven they were the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever encountered. The great assembly hall of the Galactic Council Nexus had never been so quiet. 47 different species sat in stunned silence as they watched the real-time recordings of the hegemony fleet's complete defeat at the hands of supposedly primitive humans. Council Speaker Thainmer stood at the center of the hall holding a datapad that contained intelligence reports showing just how badly they had all miscalculated. "The hegemony fleet has been completely neutralized," Thainmer announced in a voice that barely carried across the silent chamber. According to these reports, the humans suffered 0 casualties while disabling or capturing every alien vessel in their system. Elder Krath of the Vegan Collective rose slowly from his seat, his ancient face showing confusion and disbelief. For 300 years he had watched primitive species rise and fall, and never had he seen anything like what the humans had accomplished. "This is impossible. Our intelligence networks confirm that human technology was centuries behind galactic standards." General Mordeth stood before the assembly with his forearms hanging at his sides in defeat. The military advisor who had assured the council that humans posed no threat now faced the reality that his intelligence services had been completely fooled. The humans have been conducting a deception operation for decades. Every piece of information we gathered about their capabilities was carefully crafted to make them appear primitive and harmless. The holographic displays around the chamber showed footage of human ships appearing and disappearing at will using quantum-fold technology that exceeded anything the galaxy had ever seen. Alien vessels turned their weapons on each other as nanobots converted their systems to serve human purposes. Most shocking of all were the artificial intelligence entities that processed information faster than galactic supercomputers while simultaneously controlling millions of defense platforms throughout the Sol system. Counselor Zixandra of the Draconis Federation watched the recordings with the eye of an experienced warrior, and what she saw made her species' greatest military achievements look like children playing with toys. They did not just defeat the hegemony fleet and made it look easy. President Helen Carter appeared on the main communication screen of the council chamber looking calm and composed despite having just overseen the most one-sided military victory in galactic history. Behind her stood Admiral Patricia Stone and General Marcus Webb, along with other human leaders who no longer needed to hide their true capabilities. "Honorable members of the Galactic Council," Helen said in a voice that carried the quiet confidence of someone who held all the advantages. "It seems there has been a serious misunderstanding about human capabilities and intentions." Council Speaker Thainmer found his voice, though it took considerable effort to keep it steady. "President Carter, we were not aware that your species possessed such advanced technology. Our intelligence reports indicated that humans were a Class 1 civilization with limited military capabilities." Helen smiled in a way that was not entirely friendly. "Your intelligence reports told you exactly what we wanted them to tell you. Every diplomatic contact, every trade negotiation, every piece of information your people gathered about us was part of a comprehensive deception operation that has been ongoing for over 30 years. The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembly as representatives from dozens of species realized they had been manipulated by the very beings they considered primitive. The humans had not just hidden their technology, they had actively fed false information to galactic intelligence services while secretly studying alien capabilities and preparing countermeasures. Dr. Amanda Foster stepped forward to address the Council directly. We have been aware of galactic civilization since our first radio telescopes detected your communications. Rather than announce our presence, we chose to study you while developing technology that would ensure our survival in a galaxy that clearly did not welcome newcomers. The evidence was undeniable. Human quantum fold drives allowed their ships to phase between dimensions, making them nearly invulnerable to conventional weapons. Their artificial intelligence systems could process information at rates that made galactic computers look like primitive calculators. Most terrifying of all were the nanobots that could convert any technology to serve human purposes while remaining completely undetectable. Commander Jake Morrison now stood on the bridge of his flagship as it led a formation of captured hegemony vessels back toward Earth. The alien ships flew in perfect formation under human control while their former crews remained as prisoners, learning firsthand what it meant to underestimate humanity. Admiral Stone, Jake reported over the communication system. All captured vessels are secure and their crews are cooperating fully. We have complete access to their databases and technical specifications. The intelligence gathered from the hegemony fleet would give humanity enormous advantages in future encounters with other galactic civilizations. Human engineers were already studying alien technology and finding ways to improve upon designs that had been considered state-of-the-art by galactic standards. Captain Ryan Burke coordinated the systematic dismantling of alien military positions throughout the solar system while ensuring that no harm came to crews who surrendered peacefully. The message was clear: humans could be merciful to those who showed respect, but devastating to anyone who threatened Earth. Commander Veltash sat in a detention cell aboard a human vessel trying to understand how his perfect conquest had become complete disaster. The crystalline being who had been so confident in galactic superiority now faced the reality that humans were far more advanced than anyone had imagined. "Your people made a fundamental error," said Captain Lisa Brown as she visited the captured alien commander. "You assume that technological development follows predictable patterns. Humans chose a different path." Back in the council chambers, President Carter was laying out humanity's terms for joining galactic civilization. The days of being treated as a primitive species were over, and the galaxy would have to accept humans as equals, or face the consequences of their advanced military capabilities. Earth claims full territorial sovereignty over the Sol system and all human colonies, Helen announced to the stunned assembly. "We demand recognition as a Class 5 civilization with full voting rights in the Galactic Council." The classification shocked the assembled representatives. Class 5 was reserved for the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, and no species had achieved that status in over 1,000 years. Yet the evidence of human capabilities made it impossible to argue against their claim. Elder Krath spoke for much of the assembly when he asked the question that everyone was thinking. "If humans possess such advanced technology, why did you hide it for so long?" Dr. Nathan Cole answered from his position beside President Carter. "Because we learned from studying your history. Every time a new species achieved advanced technology, they either conquered others or were conquered themselves. We chose a third option. We waited until we were strong enough that conquest was impossible." The strategy had been brilliant in its simplicity. By appearing weak while secretly developing overwhelming technological advantages, humans had ensured that any attempt to conquer them would fail spectacularly. The hegemony fleet had learned this lesson at the cost of their entire invasion force. Council Speaker Thanemer faced the reality that galactic civilization had gained a new dominant power overnight. The Council recognizes Earth as a sovereign territory and extends an invitation for humanity to join the Galactic Council as a voting member. The transformation was complete. In less than a week, humanity had gone from being considered primitive to being recognized as one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. The species that had planned to relocate humans to reservation worlds now competed for trade agreements and technology-sharing partnerships. General Marcus Webb coordinated the establishment of human military bases throughout the solar system, while ensuring that the galaxy understood Earth's new position. Any future attempts to threaten human territory or human colonies will be met with the same response the hegemony received. The message was received clearly throughout the galaxy. Humans were no longer prey to be hunted by advanced civilizations. They had become the apex predators of galactic civilization, and everyone else would have to adapt to this new reality. 6 months later, human technology had revolutionized galactic civilization. Quantum fold drives were being installed on Council vessels, while human artificial intelligence systems managed interstellar communication networks. The galaxy had not just accepted humanity, but had learned to depend on human innovation and technological superiority. Commander Veltash now served as a cultural liaison, helping other species understand the importance of treating humans with proper respect. His former arrogance had been replaced with genuine admiration for the species that had outmaneuvered the entire galaxy through superior planning and technological development. The hegemony of Zephyros had become a protectorate of Earth, serving as a reminder to other civilizations about the dangers of underestimating human capabilities. The galaxy had learned that, when dealing with humans, the only safe assumption was that there were no safe assumptions.